Hey beauty babes, welcome to my channel. I'm Maria, aka Agape Love Girl. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's video is a little bit different from my channel as it's a little bit more of a crafting type of video, if you will, and a little bit of a fashion video. But I thought it'd be really fun to share this with you. It was something I was just gonna do anyways, and then I just got the idea that like, maybe I should film this. Maybe this would make for a fun video. So what I'm going to be doing is some thrift flips, as my daughter called them. I had just told her what I was going to do. She's like, oh my god, thrift flips, that's so cool. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know I had a name, but that's what I'm going to be doing today. Basically, what I have done is thrifted several t-shirts. I've kind of been into this like idea of wearing old shirts and just kind of redoing them. This is actually the very first shirt that I did. After doing my first one, that's when I decided I want to do more of them and decided that I would record the process for you guys. I just thought that putting all these different ways of cutting up shirts into one video might be fun and inspirational for you guys rather than just looking at pictures, so you kind of see the process, see how it's done and things like that. So I hope you guys find this helpful and enjoyable, and with that, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so let's start with the supplies. You'll need some old or thrifted shirts that you want to refashion or flip, of course. Then scissors, liquid stitch adhesive, since these are all no-sew ideas. Lace and or other fabrics you might want to use to embellish your shirts. Some cardboard, and then additionally, that I didn't show here, you'll also need a measuring tape or a ruler, and then a pen, pencil, or chalk will also come in handy. Up first, I decided to flip this adorable Spartans t-shirt. I was so excited to find this top because Spartans is actually my daughter's school mascot, and it even had a number 7 on the back, which is always my daughter's sports number, so it was going to be the perfect top to wear to all of her games. But anyways, this shirt was a little bit tight in my arm, so I decided that my flip for it would have to do with a fun sleeve cut. So to start, I aligned the hem of each sleeve and cut along the seam. Next, holding both sides of the sleeve together, I made several cuts vertically up to the next hem line of the sleeve. I didn't measure these cuts, I just kind of eyeballed them to keep the cuts about the same width. Then I just made sure to keep count of how many cuts I made so I can do the same amount to the other sleeve. Once I finished all the cuts, I then cut the very top and bottom parts of those cuts that I made. As you can see, they're the parts that were kind of doubled up. Once all of the cuts were completely made, you'll then want to kind of pull each piece, because this stretches the material and makes it kind of curl in on itself and almost like seals your cut a little bit. It just makes each piece look a little bit smaller and less bulky. Once I stretched all the cuts, I simply tied knots in each strand for a little more texture and interest. I decided to make the knots lower on the strand, but you can make the knots wherever you want. Another idea that I thought would be really fun and make this more decorative for the sleeves would be to add some cute beads to the strands before tying the knots. I think that if I would have had some green or gold beads, it would have amped up the design and made it a little bit more fun, but I just didn't have any on hand to do it. But that's just an idea in case you decide to do something similar. Also, just to note, as I'm tying the knots, I am pulling on the strands a bit more just to get them to roll up and look a little bit more thin and fringe-like. Of course, you're going to want to repeat the same steps to the other sleeve, and once you are done, this is what the shirt will look like. You can be done here, but once I kind of tried this on, I felt like I needed something a little bit more, so I decided to cut the collar to make it a little bit more slouchy. By the way, everybody say hello to Lucy, my dog. She just needed so much attention as usual, so she tried to take the spotlight here. If you want to see more of Lucy, just stay tuned to the end. I'll have some bloopers to include because she kept interrupting me. Anyways, I didn't want the shirt to be too slouchy, so I decided to basically just cut right along the hemline of the collar. If you want the shirt to hang a little bit more off shoulder, you can definitely cut it a little bit wider. Just make sure to do small cuts at a time. Then try on the shirt after each cut that you make sure it fits and looks how you want it to. It's better to make smaller cuts and need to cut a little bit more each time than to cut too much and not be able to fix it. So once the collar was cut, I did go ahead and stretch it again just to make it curl over on itself. And that's it for this first top. Here is the end result and how it looks on me. Also, just a little side note, these were filmed about 2 months apart. It took me this long to film all this stuff. Anyways, but I'm just like kind of amazed because I'm just now really realizing you can see the difference in my weight loss here. It seems so subtle over the past couple of months, but it looks like there's a pretty big difference here. So just have to note that. All right, this next shirt is just a plain colored one, and this will be a very simple flip. I had an idea in mind that I thought would make this a really cute overshirt for some frilly tank tops or bralettes to peek through. So basically I knew I wanted to do a very deep cut on this shirt and wanted to measure it to keep it symmetrical as well. So I laid the shirt flat and as even as I could and found where the bottom of the sleeves would hit the shirt, as that's where I wanted to make the end of my cut. From that point I measured across the top to find the direct center and made a mark there. I used a pencil to do this, but honestly, if you have chalk, I think that would be a lot easier. After making that mark, I measured 2 inches down each side of the collar so that when I cut, again on each side, they would be symmetrical. And now to cut. Since I wanted a nice cut on the outsides, I made my first cut under the collar in the center where it wouldn't really matter. Then I just followed along the seam of the collar all the way to the 2-inch mark I made. Then I cut the, turned it around and cut to the other 2-inch mark I made, and then cut any excess away from the collar to make it a nice, pretty cut, if you will. Then from the 2-inch marks, I cut at an angle all the way down to the first mark I made in the very middle of the shirt. If you want to be super precise, you can use a ruler to draw a straight line from each mark to follow and cut along, but I just kind of eyeballed it the best I could. After all the cuts were made, I pulled on the fabric to get it to kind of roll up on itself as I did with the very first flip I did. And here's Lucy to make her appearance in the spotlight again. But that's pretty much it for the shirt. It was very quick and simple, but the way I had in mind to wear it is super cute. So you guys will see that in the before and after here. But if you did want to do something more with the shirt, I thought about adding some lace using the liquid stitch, and you'll see me add lace in the next flip, and you could essentially do the same thing with this shirt if you wanted to. I think it would be really cute, and I actually may eventually add some lace to the shirt later on, but kind of just kept it like this for now. And here is the end result. I paired it with a really cute design tank in a complementary color, and I just feel like it makes for a really cute overshirt. What do you guys think? Alright, for my next flip I have this adorable raglan tee. In my opinion, raglan t-shirts are super cute on their own, but I had an idea that I thought would make this shirt even cuter and more feminine, so I hope you guys enjoy. So for this one, I wanted to be a bit more precise in my cuts and measurements, so I wanted to find the very center between the darker colored sleeves. So I measured across the collar where just the lighter fabric is and then marked where the center was. After that, I measured 5 inches down each sides of the sleeves / collar area, basically where that darker part is, and made marks on each side so they would be even. Next, I went back to the very center of the collar and measured down from there 5 inches as well and made a mark. Again, I just want to note that using a fabric pencil or chalk would definitely be easier when doing this kind of a thing. Next, I want to make sure that my cuts would be as straight as possible for this top. So I did draw lines from the sleeves to the very center of the shirt, and as you can see, I just grabbed this glue packaging to help me draw a straight line, but a hard ruler would have been better. But you know, as they say, sometimes you gotta make do with what you got. Anyways, once the lines were drawn, I started cutting. You could probably cut it any way you want, but I just thought it would be easier as well as best just to cut down the center of the shirt first and then cut over to each sides and then work my way around the collar until I had the full cutout. You want to be sure to keep everything seamless and wrinkle free so your lines will be as clean cut as possible. So you'll see me kind of smooth out the shirt a few times while I'm doing this. Also, when cutting along the shoulders and the collar, you want to cut as close to the seam as possible without actually cutting the seams. Once it's all cut, here's how it should look. As you can see, we kind of have this diamond or pentagon type of shape cut out. And I'm going to fill that with lace. So I choose to use white lace, as you can see, but you can use any color lace you want, or even some soft tulle or whatever you want for a different look. But anyways, I basically just laid it over top of the cutout just to see how much of the lace I would need, and then basically cut a rectangle of the lace large enough just to cover and overlay the entire cutout area of the shirt. Next, you're going to want to turn the shirt inside out, then put some cardboard inside of the shirt. We'll be working with glue here next, so you don't want the glue, to glue the front of the shirt to the back of the shirt together. So once you have the cardboard in between, just make sure to straighten out any rolled up pieces of fabric and things like that. Now the glue I'm using is a fabric glue. This is called Liquid Stitch, and it works great for those of us who either can't sew or just don't want to sew anything. I love using this, it's very much so easy. Next, I'm just going to apply this glue all along the perimeter of the cutout. Once that's done, I'm just going to carefully lay the lace over top of it, making sure there is enough overlap so there won't be any gaps or holes in the lace and the cutout. After it's all laid down, what I did was just grab a piece of the cutout fabric that I discarded and wrapped it around my finger just to avoid a sticky mess, and then went around the glue on the edges just to help press it together with the lace fabric. Once that's done, you'll just wait 24 hours for it to dry, and then you can cut away the excess lace. As you can see here, you may have a few spots where the glue stuck to the cardboard, but that's totally fine and it'll be easy to remove. Just carefully pull it apart, and that's a lot better than having the t-shirt sticking to itself. That's why we have the cardboard there, so don't worry. Just pull it out away from the cardboard carefully, remove the top from the cardboard, and then cut the lace. Once that's done, you can go ahead and flip your shirt right side out, and voila, your new shirt. And here is the end result of how it looks. I personally really love this flip. I think it's my favorite that I've done here in this video, aside from the sweater that I'm going to get to later on in this video, but I would love to know what you guys think of this flip. Alright, next up I have another local sports team t-shirt that I wanted to be able to rock and wear to some football games. This one is pretty basic, so I knew I wanted to do some cutting action to it as well as add some decorative lace embellishing. So I just started by folding this t-shirt in half so I would be able to evenly make my cut in the front. You'll want to be sure to pull the back of the shirt away from the front of the shirt before making any cuts, so you're not cutting the front and the back. You just want to cut the front. Next, with the shirt still folded in half, I cut along the collar probably about 2 inches. I really didn't measure this out, just kind of eyeballed it. And then from there turned and cut downwards towards the middle of the shirt just to make a triangle shape. And I made this a much more of a smaller cut since this t-shirt does have some writing on it in the front, as you can see. And I didn't want to completely cut the wording out, just a little bit. So once my triangle was cut, I opened the shirt up flat and then just made any additional cuts I needed for, a cleaner look along the collar and things like that, as you can see. Alright, so this next part is actually completely optional. It was something that I thought would look cute and that I might like, but I ended up not liking it and changed it in the end, but I'm going to show you the process anyway. So I really just wanted this top to be a short sleeve, so what I did was just cut off the sleeves along the hemline. After that was done, I turned the shirt inside out and put some cardboard in between since I was going to be working with the liquid stitch again. So I found this really cute green lace ribbon that I thought would pair really well and be cute with this top since it's green and gold. So I just used some liquid stitch to line the sides of the triangle I cut out in the front of the shirt and applied the lace over top, making sure that the lace overlapped enough to peek through the cutout. And then I cut off the excess, as you can see. Next, I also wanted to add that lace to the sleeve. See, I thought this was going to be really cute. So I just did the same thing and aligned the edges of the sleeves with the liquid stitch and applied the lace over top. And then after that, you're just going to want to leave it to dry overnight. And after that, your top is done. So I'm going to try on the shirt here so you guys can see the results of what I did for this first part. And if you guys like it, then you know you could be done here. This is just an idea, but personally I thought the top looked too boxy and just not flattering with the sleeves like this. It just, I don't know, it wasn't as cute as I thought it was going to be, so yeah, I ended up changing it. But I think if you want to do something similar, maybe just don't cut the sleeves and just add some lace to the regular sleeves. I think that would have been cute, or much cuter than this at least. So anyways, I decided that I would just cut more of the shirt and decided to cut it into kind of a halter top style. And to do that, I just started cutting it from the end of the collar down to the armpit area of the armhole on each side. I really wasn't sure how this was gonna look. I just went for it anyways and just kind of really hoped that it would turn out well. But thankfully, I actually think it turned out really, really cute. So here's how it's looking, and I just want to mention, because of the way I cut this, as well as the fact that I have had lost some weight since I had first got this shirt, it fit me super loose. You're gonna see that I'll turn around and show you that I put a little rubber band in the back to bunch it up and tuck it under so it would be more of a fitted, cute look, while still also being flowy and feeling very, very comfortable. But anyways, yeah, I ended up really liking this style. I would say that I would recommend wearing it with either like a really cute bralette or an undershirt, because with the armholes, the way I cut them, they will be pretty large and hang loose and give a little peekaboo action. So yeah, dress accordingly. But anyways, what do you guys think of this style? I know right now this style of shirt is not actually like fall appropriate, and we are in fall right now, so it's probably a lot colder in a lot of places, but as I mentioned before, I did film these videos over the period of like the last 2 months, and so it was actually still summer when I did this top, and so yeah. Anyways, let's move on to something that is perfect for the fall and winter. So I know this is mostly a t-shirt thrift flip video, but I had also thrifted this plain pink hoodie and I had a really cute idea for it, so I think you guys are gonna really like it. This is going to be a very, very easy, simple flip, and all you're going to need for this is some lace and the liquid stitch. So I'm going to focus on the pocket of this hoodie, so I laid it flat as I could, then laid my lace fabric over top of the pocket so I could get an idea of the size. Then just simply cut the lace slightly larger than the size of the pocket. Of course, you could attempt to cut it the exact size, but honestly my way is quicker and easier too. We'll go ahead and cut it to size later, so don't you worry. Next up, I just outlined the pocket of the hoodie with the liquid stitch, and I basically just aligned it right along the stitching of the pocket. Once the pocket is outlined, that is the most important part, I just added glue kind of messily, sloppily all over the front of the pocket. It honestly doesn't have to be fully coated or anything perfect. Since we're working with lace and there's going to be some spots that won't need glue, you know, because it's holey and things like that. Also, the liquid stitch does dry clear, so it's totally fine if it gets places that the lace isn't, you know what I mean? It's good. After that, lay the lace down carefully over top of the pocket so that it fully covers the pocket. You'll need to press the glue and the lace together, but that will get a little messy, so I just grabbed the liquid stitch and used the bottle to help me, so I didn't really have to touch the glue and get all sticky. Next up, this part is optional, but I did want to add a little bit more lace embellishments. So I took some of the leftover lace and cut out a few of the flower and leaf designs from it. I wanted to add a couple of these so that it looked like they were coming out of the pocket all cute. So I did just cut some of the excess lace from the corner of the pocket here just so I can see what I was doing better. You'll definitely want to be careful doing this, as the glue, if you do it like how I do it, but the glue isn't fully dry at this point, so just carefully cut it. Then I just kind of messed around with the placement of the lace until I was happy with how it looked, then added some glue and stuck them in place. Again, this is going to get very sticky and messy, but it's honestly totally worth it. Next, I decided to add the last couple lace flowers to the top of my sweater and glue them down. You can honestly just add lace or flowers anywhere. I thought about adding some to the hood or the sleeves, but I was actually just being lazy to cut some more flowers, as well as I was kind of starting to run out of glue anyway. So just an idea, get creative with it. You don't have to do exactly how I did. This is just an idea for you guys. After that, you're going to go ahead and just wait for it to dry. I always just wait overnight. And then once it's dry, you can finally cut the rest of the excess lace from the pocket for a more clean, seamless look. And that is it. So here is the final result. Seriously, how cute is this sweater? As I mentioned earlier in the video, this is my favorite flip. I just really love sweaters, like they're my favorite. So, and then I just did this myself and it was really cute and simple. But I've already gotten several compliments since completing it and wearing it. And I'm actually like really considering buying some more plain sweaters just to do this to them, because it's just really quick and easy and makes for a really cute, unique sweater. Alrighty, this next flip will be another very simple one. So I found this awesome Stay Humble shirt, and if you know me, you know that I love this color for one, but I also love the saying on the front, Stay Humble. I just thought that was so cute. So I didn't really want to do anything to it that would take away from like the logo, the saying on the front. So for this flip, I decided we would concentrate on the back of the shirt. So to start off, I folded the shirt in half as perfectly even as I could. Then I just ran over the seams with the seam of the fold with my hand a few times so it would make a wrinkle mark that I could see. I wanted to be able to have a straight line up the back of the shirt to follow. So doing this folding technique seemed a lot easier than trying to draw a straight line up the back, you know. Anyways, once I had my wrinkle line, I then just cut it up the back. I cut up about midway through the shirt, maybe just a little bit past midway, but you can cut more or less depending on the look you're going for. It's really up to you. Next, I just measured the cut so I would know how much lace fabric I would need to cut next. My cut up the shirt was 15 inches. So I laid out my lace fabric and then measured from the finished edge of the fabric up. For a nice, like more professional looking flip here, you'll want to use the finished edge of the lace. You'll want that to be what shows at the bottom of your shirt. Anyways, what I did was then measure up 16 inches, which is an inch longer than the cut I made in the shirt, because you'll want the lace to be a bit larger than the area you're going to want to fill. Then I made a mark at the 16 inches and then just used the measuring tape to make kind of a triangle and just kind of move and adjusted it until it looked like about the size that I might want. There's no real science to this. I kind of just played around with it until it looked how I want. And it ended up being about 17 inches. So I measured that out so I can be able to do the same thing to the other side. But anyways, after I got that, then I just drew a line in my lace and then did the same thing to the other side. You'll notice I did use a Sharpie marker for this, and that's just because all of this will be on the inside of the shirt and won't show at all. So the line doesn't really matter. So it's totally fine if you need to, you know, mark it up so you can see and cut it nicely. Also in the end, I'll end up trimming it, and you can do that too, so really it doesn't matter. So I really just wanted to make sure the triangle was even in measurement. That's what matters here. Anyways, once you have your lace triangle, then go back to your shirt, flip it inside out, add some cardboard between, because you guessed it, we'll be using the liquid stitch again. Next thing I did was spread the sides of the t-shirt apart where I cut it just to make room for the lace triangle. I laid the lace triangle on top and just kind of adjusted it to look even with the cut that I made so that the bottom of the hemline of the lace lined up with the hemline of the shirt. Once everything was lined up how I wanted it, it was time to glue. You kind of just play around with it till it looks right. Alright, and then you may need to straighten out any curled edges of your t-shirt. Make sure it's laying flat before you add your glue. And then after that, just line the cuts and press lace on top as you go. Of course, you will need to let your glue dry overnight as usual. Once the glue is dry, you can go ahead and go back in to trim off the excess lace. This is totally optional, it doesn't really matter, but for me I just wanted the lace to be as close to the glue line as possible so there wasn't any you know, flappy, loose lace. That sounds so weird, but you know what I mean? You know, sometimes it could bother a person. So I just trimmed off the excess lace and that was it. Flip your shirt inside out and you're done. So I decided to call this my mullet shirt because it's, you know, basically normal in the front, but then all fun in the back. Anyways, this is a very, very simple idea, but I think it's a great way to add a little bit of a feminine detail to an otherwise more plain shirt. Also, this is a really great way to adjust a shirt that maybe you love, that maybe has become a little bit too snug on you, or just maybe it's one that you found that was a little bit too small, but you want to adjust it to make it a little bit bigger, because as you can see, this adds a cute fitted flare design to the shirt, giving you more comfort and wiggle room without it looking too big and baggy. So yeah, I really like this flip and I'd love to know what you guys think. Alright, so we are almost done here with my flips. Now, this is just a plain bright pink t-shirt that I really wanted to transform, but let me tell you, this flip was a pain in the butt. So just know ahead of time that this will take a little bit more time and effort if you choose to recreate it. So to start, I actually needed to grab another shirt, one with a pocket that I could use for reference, and I'm sure you could actually just make a pocket by hand, or you know what, just use my measurement so you don't have to do this part. I'll give you the measurement. So this pocket measured 4¼ inches wide by 4½ inches long, and then had a 2¼ inch angle at the bottom. So using these measurements, I drew out a pocket on some cardstock paper to make a pocket pattern. Then I just drew a few lines outwards, probably about like ½ inch long. I just eyeballed this, I didn't really feel like measuring. Basically, you want your pocket pattern to have these little excess tabs that will be able to fold over on themselves so we can create, you know, a functioning pocket, if that makes sense. So listen here, I'm really not that good at explaining, which is why you can like see here on video what I'm doing. I just like chatting because I personally don't like videos that are set to music alone. So anyways, you can see what I'm doing, you get the gist. Moving on, you're gonna cut out your pocket pattern. Also cut along those ½ inch lines kind of inwards, that way you can fold them. You see what I'm doing here. Next, you'll need fabric. You want to pick something pretty or complimentary that'll kind of go along with your shirt, whatever color it is. Then flip the fabric over to the back side. This is just easier to see what you're doing. And then use your pocket pattern to draw on the fabric. Then go ahead and cut out the pocket pattern out of your fabric. Now, we're going to glue the pocket onto your shirt, but before you do that, you're going to go ahead and put your shirt on. Hold your fabric pocket up to the shirt to decide where you want it. Like, you see what it's going to look like on you. That's going to be the best way. I did this off camera, but I did go ahead and make some marks where I wanted my pocket to go, so you'll see those marks. You want to do the same thing. Anyways, I made the marks close to the center, top, and bottom of where my pocket will go. I didn't want them too high so they didn't, like, you know, they wouldn't show up outside the pocket, you know what I mean? Anyways, now before we go any further, you're going to want to stick some cardboard in between the shirts so you don't get the front and back stuck together. But usually you've seen me do this by now. Anyways, here's where it kind of gets a little bit difficult. I mean, it doesn't need to be this difficult, but I just wasn't sure the best way to glue the pocket down. And I know a little bit better now how to do it, so this was trial and error anyways, and if you know a better way, then, you know, do it however you think is best. But let me just tell you one thing. I would have folded the very top of the pocket down itself first, so it's easily like folded seamlessly already, since that doesn't have to be glued down to anything, and it just would have been easier to do that first rather than have to do that last, which is what I did anyways.
just, yeah, learn from my mistakes. Do the top part first, fold it onto itself. Anyways, I'll just let you kind of watch and see what I'm doing. I'm basically just folding the excess of the sides, those little tabs on the pockets we made, adding some glue and attaching it to the shirt. As you can see, those little tabs kind of help create the functioning pocket, so there's a little bit of space in there. You get the idea. I always just feel like I have to over-explain things. Anyways, so you see here is where I had to get creative with the top of the pocket so it wouldn't stick to the shirt and not be able to open. I'm such a dork. So anyways, I just stuck that cardstock paper in there to make sure that, you know, the glue didn't stick over to the shirt. Moving on. If you thought I was done, you thought wrong. Now this part is optional, so you could just stop at the pocket, but I had to be extra and add some detail to the sleeves. So what I'm going to do is cut a strip of fabric to wrap around the edge or the hem of the sleeve. So what I did was just measure the hem of the sleeve, which is about 1 inch. So then I knew I wanted to double that. But I ended up actually doing 2.5 inches just to be sure I had enough fabric to wrap around the hem of the sleeves. You want to cut a strip of fabric, 2.5 inches wide and then long enough to fully wrap around the entire sleeve. I was too lazy to measure this sleeve around, so really what I just did was cut the strip long enough, wrap it around my sleeve and cut it to size with a little bit of excess over just in case. Anyways, this seems a little bit tedious to explain. I may be over explaining or under explaining, I'm not sure. So I'm just gonna let you kind of watch, see what I'm doing. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. I'll try my best to explain in a comment. Anyways, once the fabric strip is cut, it's time for the good old liquid stitch again. This has been a lifesaver through this whole video. Start by applying it to the hem of your sleeve. Then you're gonna go ahead and lay down your fabric strip on top of the glue, and you wanna lay the fabric pattern side down, also lining up the bottom of the fabric strip that you cut to the bottom of the hem. Anyways, this may seem weird to glue the fabric downwards this way, but we're gonna flip the fabric back over so that the pattern shows and it will create a seamless look. So anyways, just go ahead and glue the strip all the way around the sleeve. Do both sleeves, of course, and then this is where it will take a little bit of time. So once you do this outer sleeve, you're gonna have to wait until it's dry completely to finish the sleeve. So wait till it's dry, and then the next day, once everything is dry, you can pull the fabric over onto itself. So now the pattern side is showing, and you'll have a little bit of excess hanging over the hem of your sleeves. Then go ahead and flip your t-shirt inside out. Then pull the fabric over on itself to the underside of your sleeve, and you'll see how it creates this seamless, you know, lining of your sleeve. You want to make sure that there's no bunching or anything anywhere. There will be that little bit of excess fabric at the very end of your sleeve. You know, you'll see. Just make sure to fold it down so it looks neat, and then just simply glue that fabric down to the hem of the inside of your shirt, as you see me doing. Okay, so I'm going to kind of show you a little bit slower and closer how I glued the ends of the fabric strips together so they look nice and seamless. This part isn't really a big deal, as it's like going to be the bottom, like, armpit part of your shirt, like I said, but you'll still want it to look a little bit decent. So anyways, this is what I did. Just you watch and see. Anyways, and that is it. Again, you're just gonna wait for the glue to dry another day, and after that your shirt is ready. You go from a plain t-shirt to a custom and functioning shirt. I do feel like my pocket didn't turn out the best. Like, I feel like it looks a little bit wonky. I probably should have like positioned it a little bit lower or something. I don't know. Anyways, it looks a little bit weird, but this was trial and error my first time. But I think it's kind of cool. It worked. It's functioning. What do you guys think of this style? Do you think you would attempt it? Alright, and lastly, I just want to show this real quick, just because this is a design I thought about doing for this video, but just decided that there were other designs I'd rather do for the t-shirts that I did, and also because I do already have kind of a picture tutorial on my blog. It's quite a bit older. I did it back in 2011, and this is actually my daughter here in these photos, and she's 16 now. She's quite a bit older, so it's so cute seeing these. But anyways, this is another fun idea you can do with either a plain shirt that you have or a thrifted shirt you want to kind of add some fun design to. It's basically very similar to some of the other designs I've done here in this video, where you just cut out a really cute design, add some lace, use liquid stitch, so it's really quick and easy. The hardest part is really just cutting out the more intricate design depending on what kind of design you want to do. But I thought I would share this, and I will link the tutorial over on my blog in the description box for you guys to check out. But I just thought I would share because it's just another fun idea that's very, very simple, but you know, gives you an idea of what you can do and how you can do it and things like that. So anyways, just want to mention that before we ended this video.
All right, and that is it for my thrift flip shirt cutting edition. I don't know why I'm saying edition. I don't know if I'll do more of these or not, but anyways, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know which shirt and which cut design was your favorite. And with that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, much love and hugs to you. Bye, beauty babes. Mwah! Lucy, come on. You gotta let me do this. Okay, let me do this. Okay, Luce, right here. You're okay. Stay right there. Lucy, stop. You are okay. Oh, goodness. You're so needy. You are so needy. Come on, over here. Over here. Stay right here. You're okay. Okay. Where these sleeves go down when I go. You're a stinker. You are an attention hog. You know this? Do you know this? You are an attention hog. Lucy? Do you need all the love? You need all the love. You need all the love?